I'm a huge fan of John Giorno. He's one of the last beat poets. You know, he was best friends with William Burroughs. He buried William Burroughs. You know, he knew Ginsberg and Kerouac and all those guys. So when he wrote that quote, it just really stuck with me in the sense of at some point we all kind of turn to dust and leave this planet. And he's lived a very rich, full life. You know, the beat poets, just living back in that day with all the jazz and the advent of beat poetry and everything, it was so vibrant. But it, you know, and I wouldn't say this is what he's saying, but the way I took it was, you know, you can spend so much time looking for the meaning of life that you miss out on living. And so when he wrote that and I got a chance to think about him and how he's kind of older, it just felt like that was a little bit of advice saying, you know what, don't blow it, live. Don't worry about the meaning of life so much.
Your first single is the song Montreal, and of course I need to ask I need to ask where came from your inspiration about this song, because we are in Montreal, we live in Montreal, and want to know why you wrote a song about our city.
I've always loved the city. I've come here since my mom was born here, and I've come here hundreds of times. And I always found there was something incredible about the city in the sense of it's so beautiful and it's so culturally rich, but then the winters can be so hard because they get so cold and they're so long. So it's this great juxtaposition, which really, you know, I think is this parallel for life, where there's no ideal, you know, nothing's perfect in life. And you have to, once you can accept that you can have both and they can exist together, then I think you're a much happier person.
Can you tell me more about your relationship with Montreal, with your fans from Montreal and your fans from the province of Quebec?
Yeah, I mean, Our Lady Peace, for one, we used to come here even before we had a record deal. We got sick of playing to our friends and family in Toronto, so a friend of mine worked for DKD Productions here, which is a promotion company, and he would book us in crummy little bars all around the city and outside. So before we even you know, signed, we had a fan base here, and then our first record, Entrevue, it broke first in Montreal. So we had a deep connection with the people of Quebec, and we would tour in, we were just talking about it, little places like Jonquière, you know, all these little tiny places. So we've played so many shows in Quebec, and it's just always been kind of a second home to us. They come from two different things. Our Lady Peace is usually with a guitar or with the band. My solo stuff is usually about the words first and a little program beat, so the rhythm flows over that, and then I add some, you know, strings or guitar. But yeah, they start from two different, so I always know which is which.
Is there some subject that you want to write about in your solo project that you will not write about in Our Lady Peace?
Yeah, I mean, most of my solo stuff is very personal, and with Our Lady Peace, there have been some personal songs, but for the most part, I think if it's Our Lady Peace, I try to make the lyrics more universal so everyone can apply themselves to them. Where my solo stuff, I don't. I keep it very personal to me.
Your first solo album, The Hunter's Lullaby, was more like rhythmic and and a little bit more like, I would say, aggressive.
Right.
And with this one, when we listen at We All Get Lighter, it's a totally different kind of spirit. How can you explain that, this two different kind of spirit?
Well, I think because it started with that title, when John wrote that in my book, I had this feeling that the music should be very spiritual, you know, and I felt like it should be this feeling like the weight's being lifted from you. So yeah, it doesn't have that same aggressive nature, but I think I let that title dictate the whole record, which I thought was interesting. Might have been stupid, but that's what I tried to do. Yeah, I plan on touring. I'm just trying to figure out when the best time is. So probably in the summer, and you know, Montreal will be on the list for sure.
And you will put other places in Quebec on your tour too, or just Montreal?
So yeah, no, actually, absolutely, yeah. I'll try to do a few shows in Quebec.
Yeah, because you came last summer in Quebec City. I was there at the Quebec Summer Festival. It was really crowded, and the people there, it's just not in Montreal. Like the people in Quebec really love your stuff.
We also played in Sherbrooke last summer too, and it was incredible. It was such a great show. So we'll definitely be back. Yeah.
Cool. Well, good luck with your second solo album.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah.